cannot resolve this final charge, then the judge will probably let him go and accept this verdict, i.e., the hung jury charge, declare a mistrial on that charge, and then accept the verdict on the remaining charges. And I agree. I think that if you really look at the questions the jury asked around what is distribution? Does it have to include so on and so forth, paying for it and doing things like that? And then they are then asked for the trial transcripts of particular witnesses, right? Then after those witnesses they received those transcripts, now we're getting this in from the jury, right? Saying, hey, we've resolved whatever issues and conflicts there were on some of these charges in the RICO charge, which to me, and I think many people felt was more convoluted and more of a reach just by normal logic and how we think about RICO. And then the large and lengthy, voluminous charge and subparts to it could be confusing, as was mentioned, to a judge, a lawyer, and much less an everyday ordinary citizen who doesn't deal with the law. So that's not surprising that it's hung on the RICO charge. And I'm sure that's also why Diddy is sitting there holding his breath, because he certainly asked his attorneys, what does this mean?
I mean, we talked about this back before we knew that the verdict was in for majority of these, that all P. Diddy, Sean Combs, was doing was staring at the little note in front of him. And I agree, that is very telling. There is now a verdict on counts 2, 3, 4, 5. The one that is a potential deadlock is one that is racketeering conspiracy involving Cassie. So we're going to go through the verdict form in a minute, but I just have to ask once again, Philip Dubé, what are your thoughts about this one? The fact that it's the racketeering conspiracy with Cassie. What does all of that mean?
Well, the bottom line is that the prosecution has to prove that he was running an enterprise with a pattern, if you will, of criminality. And there is basically a laundry list of various crimes. And the jury does not have to be unanimous on those predicate type crimes that were being run under the whole Combs enterprise. They do not even have to agree unanimously, and they don't even have to prove each predicate crime or predicate act beyond a reasonable doubt. And it could be that some of the jurors just feel that none of those predicate acts were effectuated in any way, shape, or form by force, fraud, or coercion. And that is ultimately the heart of it. That's what makes it so criminal. You know, that basically somebody is acting with like a mob boss mentality, forcing people oppressively to work within the organization by force, fraud, or coercion. And it sounds like one or more juror feels that there was no such aspect to it. And that's just a guess. I'm only going by sort of reading the tea leaves, if you will, based on the fact that they have reached a verdict on the subordinate counts. And it remains to be seen if I'm accurate, but that's just a guess.
They got all day tomorrow.
And again, let's remind everyone, we know there's a verdict at least partially here. We still don't know what that verdict is. So this is a great time to segue into looking at that verdict form, specifically because Philip was just talking about those predicate charges. So let's bring it up now. I believe that we have it. And let's start with number one, which is debatably right now the most important one that we have. This is racketeering conspiracy. Okay, so right at the top, how do you find the defendant? Not
Hold up. Number one is the main one that everybody looking at,
guilty or guilty. This is the question mark right now because according to the juror note, some think guilty, some think not guilty. That's kind of the split that is happening right now. And this is to the predicate acts that Philip was just talking about there. If and only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, which types of racketeering acts do you unanimously find were involved in the offense? So acts involving kidnapping, which of course would involve Capricorn Clark on the instance when the jewelry went missing and she was allegedly taken to do that lie detector test. Or for instance, when she says she was taken and kidnapped, involved in the Kid Cudi arson, the Porsche blowing up. Is this proven or not proven? Or rather it reads not proved, proved. Acts involving arson. Of course, we're talking about Kid Cudi and the Porsche. Proved, not proved. Acts involving bribery. We're, of course, talking about Eddie Garcia, the Intercontinental video. He testified on the stand talking about $100,000, the cash machine going through and it being counted. Was this bribery? Not proved, or proved. Acts involving witness tampering, not proved, proved. Acts involving forced labor, not proved, proved. A lot of this is going to, majority of the testimony that we heard throughout all of this, Mia potentially, getting working and not getting paid overtime, but the forced labor also goes to Cassie or Jane. Acts involving sex trafficking. Once again, going to Cassie and Jane. Was this not proved or proved? Acts involving transportation for purposes of prostitution. Not proved, proved. Acts involving drug distribution. Now, if and only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of 𝗗𝗓𝗓? No or yes? This is the most important one at this time, everyone, because this is the one that the jury may be deadlocked on, cannot agree. After this, it reads, if and only if you find the defendant guilty of 1 count, did the pattern of racketeering activity include sex trafficking of Jane? No or yes? So, count 1 right there, heavy. There's a lot to break down, a lot of those predicate crimes, and this is the question mark, everyone watching. This is the one where the jurors are seemingly deadlocked at this time. Now on to count 2. We're still in the deliberation forms, which, by the way, the rest, there have been a verdict. Unclear what the verdict is. Count 2 is sex trafficking of 𝗗𝗓𝗓𝗢. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? Pretty straightforward there. The same with count 3, the Mann Act, transportation, 𝗗𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗢. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? Count 4. Now we're moving on to Jane. This is sex trafficking of Jane. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty, guilty. Count 5. Mann Act, transportation, Jane. How do you find the defendant? Not guilty or guilty? And once again, all roads lead back to racketeering conspiracy, because not only is that the one that is perhaps the most difficult to understand, the most complicated, especially when we're going through all of those different predicate crimes, the ones that I just mentioned. We're talking kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for purposes of prostitution, and drug distribution. It's the most complicated and the one that people seem to not be able to agree on as far as the jury. I got to toss it back to our guests once again. Adante Pointer, what are you thinking now that I went through and read through each of those predicate crimes? Have your thoughts changed at all?
No, not at all. I think it just underscores and proves up what we've all been saying, which is that particular charge has so many subparts, so many different things that a jury would have to answer and agree on, that it's very easy for just a jury to not reach a unanimous decision that's convinced or that's supported by everyone agreeing about any one of those many different subparts. So it's not surprising. I think many of us saw that coming. Now, the other remaining charges, those are much more straightforward. And we heard and we saw that the jury, when they had questions, they sent those questions out about definitions and things. And the judge simply directed them back to those jury instructions. So I think that that's why you're going to see that there was a unanimous verdict on those other charges, but they weren't able to agree with one on the RICO Act because there's just so many subparts, and it's hard to get many people to agree on what you want to go for dinner or you want to eat for dinner, much less 9 different subparts to make up one charge.
That's crazy, man.
We went through all of them. We've been talking about them here on Law and Crime for forever, since before a jury was even seated, and it's never really gotten easier, right? The more I talk about it, the more I personally understand it, but I also have a leg up on the jury, the fact that I can discuss it with my peers, and they've only had about 13 hours of deliberation, which, by the way, we have paused the verdict watch clock at 13 hours and 11 minutes because it seems overall we have overall we have a verdict. On the first one, I'm going to go back to you, 𝗵𝗡𝗖𝗓, about all of this because you so astutely broke down all of those predicate crimes. What are your thoughts now that I went back and read through all of them? That seems to be the one that's tripping people up. So what do you think the judge is going to do?
With you, and I don't know if Adante agrees, I think the judge may have done the defense a favor. I truly believe that he gave them a mispronouncement or a misstatement of law. I do not believe that the jury has to find each predicate unanimously. So what he did, if I'm correct, and I may be wrong, but chime in on this if I'm incorrect, I can handle it, believe me. My feelings won't be hurt. In other words, I think the judge expanded the burden of proof for the prosecution to prove each predicate beyond a reasonable doubt. That means all 12 jurors must unanimously agree and find beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed at least 2 or more of the predicates within a 10-year period. My reading of RICO, at least under the California version, is that all you really have to find beyond a reasonable doubt is that there was a pattern of enumerated crimes, but you don't have to be specific about the crime itself. So if that's the case and the jury is tripped up, good for Sean Diddy, because it sounds like this jury will never, ever reach a unanimous verdict, at least as to 2 or more of the predicates.
Okay, so I'm going to throw that to you, 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞, and ask if you agree with what Philip is saying about all of that. Judge 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞 says, okay, it needs to be unanimous as far as deciding on these predicate crimes. What are your thoughts about all of that?
Well, frankly, when I think about that, and when you were showing us the jury verdict form, I was in my mind, I'm thinking, look, you have this is one of the most high profile, if not the most high profile trial taking place right now. Those jury verdict forms are debated, they're reviewed, not only by the attorneys you see in the court, but by other attorneys who are assisting on the case back in the office, be it on the defense side or the prosecution side. And I've been in that situation, and everybody can still get it wrong in terms of the way it's enumerated and or the way the jury instructions are provided. My understanding is that they do need to come to a unanimous decision as relates to at least one of those subparts in order to support the RICO charge. But we're all going to find out, because no matter what happens here, best believe you're going to see this wind up in the appellate court.
Yeah. This is about to be crazy.
I know that Diddy's team is definitely keeping an eye on everything as far as appeals if it doesn't go his way. I tend to agree with you exactly what you're saying, 𝗟𝗡𝗡𝗞, about all of this, that they definitely going to be ready with all of that. Now, we do have a viewer question asking, this is from Lee Now.
Wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. She talked too much. Look, let me tell y'all something right now. If they got a verdict on 2, 3, 4, and 5, that means they already got 2 guilty verdicts. But they trying to figure out, they got a problem with 1. The reason why they got a problem with 1 is because they found more than 1 guilty. It got to be 2 guilties or more to make it RICO, but they don't believe it's RICO because it's only 1 person and stuff like that. So they got them on 2 charges, and this is what I'm thinking. Think about it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm live while I'm doing this, but let's finish the video real quick, and I'm gonna break it all the way down to my live side.
Who's asking, if it is guilty, will he still go to jail for counts 2 through 5? Right? So Philip, about that, if he's guilty,
at least 2 of them.
And the first one, let's take the racketeering conspiracy and just.
I put it to you like this: if you got 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? If he was guilty on only 1 of them or 0, then they wouldn't be worrying about this RICO thing. Think about it. If they say he's not guilty on none of them, then he ain't guilty on the RICO because you ain't even got nothing for the RICO, right? But if he's guilty on 1, you ain't got enough for the RICO. So the RICO still, y'all ain't hung on the RICO. They got 2 that he's guilty on, and they still trying to say, but is that RICO? That's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening.
But if we're talking 2 through 5, let's say he's guilty, which, by the way, we still have yet to know. If he's guilty, he'll still go to jail for those, right?
Yes, of course. They're certainly not going to release him because he would stand convicted of those charges. And the only real question then is how much time he'll get. So, no, he's not going to get released. But you can bet, depending on what the split is on count 1, if in fact a mistrial is declared, the prosecution will likely retry him because, if I'm not mistaken, I think it carries life. And they definitely want to get him on that top count if they can get a life sentence.
Look like I'm right again with the 2 years.
A lot to think about here. I again want to remind anyone who has just tuned in that we have reached a verdict. The jury has reached a verdict in counts 2 through 5, it's that number 1, the racketeering conspiracy that is still the question mark at this time. Now,
So
we
they
do have
haven't
some
reached a
questions.
verdict.
Where's Jesse? Where's Elizabeth? And let me answer them both right now, because this is a really intense time. Elizabeth Milner is in the courthouse behind me. She is there in the courtroom so she can make sure to get the latest updates, be there to see how Diddy reacts to anything and everything like that. I promise you we'll have Elizabeth Milner on as soon as we can, but it's important for her to be in that courthouse. I'm going to continue to stay here live in the Southern District of New York to bring you the latest, but also we've got Jesse Weber, who we...
All right, that's enough. That's enough. Good gracious. Hey, I'm trying to tell y'all, man, Diddy ain't getting out. I mean, it's clear. It is clear that they got him on something, right? If they got him on one thing, they don't have RICO. So why are they worrying about it? If they got him on one thing, he gonna do some time. Period. They reached a verdict on 4 things. Let's say if all 4 things was not guilty, they let him go on all 4 things, then they don't have to worry about the RICO, right? Think about that. But if they found him, they weren't about the RICO because they found him guilty on 2 things. But they don't think it's still RICO. That's because they're not looking at the paperwork. They ain't looking at what they supposed to be doing. And they afraid to send this man to jail on a RICO charge, even though they found him guilty on 2 things. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I know that's got to be the answer. Y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out. Now for my live side, what's up? I turned the live side on early so we can talk about this. What do y'all think? Oh man, I should start another. I should have went with the what's happening. I should have went with the other live. Hey, Dashing T with D stopping by to show some love. Appreciate you. Appreciate you to the utmost. Oh my gracious, they saying all this stuff, man. They saying all this stuff. I done changed. I can't. Oh man, I should have used the other thing. Oh man, I have to start a new stream if I. Yeah, it's only 4 people. What's up? Who else is there other than me? That means there's 3 people watching. Yeah. I think that I need to keep on going. Big Ticket is live. Tisha Tell was live. I think I was doing Roger Barnes verdict watch. She's still live. Golly.
A letter out. They sent a letter out to another letter out saying, yeah, listen, this has been real, but we got to go home. Like, we will talk to you later. And the judge dismissed them for the day.
Golly.
The judge dismissed them for the day, which means that we are getting a verdict one way or the other. We are getting a verdict one way or the other on the Diddy trial. We are getting it tomorrow. Okay. Now, again, this could go all the way to July 3rd. This could go to Monday, but it looks like we are getting a verdict on the Diddy trial tomorrow. And let me just say, right? Let me just say, the energy and the emotion that was flying around that courtroom, the raw emotion and the fact that you had to sit there seeing Diddy sit there, finally feeling the weight of his actions, finally feeling something close to regret. But here's the thing. I don't think somebody sitting sad for a day is regret. People.
There you have it, folks. Basically, again, man, this is what I'm thinking. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, in order for the RICO to stand, you got to find them guilty on 2 things. And they got 4 of them. One of the things is the RICO, and the other 4. That's what made 5 different counts, right? They had to find them guilty on one thing in order for them to be thinking about the RICO. So he's guilty on one thing, meaning that he ain't getting out no time soon. That means he ain't getting out no time soon. I think they found him guilty on 2 things. Now you got enough for the RICO, but the jury is thinking, or half the jury, or some of the jury is thinking that I don't think he deserved RICO. That's what they thinking. So tomorrow they're gonna go home and sleep on it, and they're gonna talk on it a little bit more. And guess what? I think they're gonna talk about this the whole day tomorrow and still not come up with anything. And next thing you know, you got 4 more days until Monday, and that's when Uncle Mike gonna be up there. Bet y'all that's what's about to happen. Look here. I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. That's gonna be about it from now. Right now.
Like that, no, they need to sit and stew in it. He felt the closest thing we've ever seen him to self-reflection, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do reactions and stuff on all this stuff. I gotta go to the bathroom. So shout out to the 15 people that stopped past. It's saying 3 people checking us out. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, man. I'm gonna start doing more and more music and different things like that. I should play the other song. Did y'all hear the other song? I gotta go to the bathroom, so I'm gonna get on up out of here, man. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.